morning sunshine, rocking the good time with all our friends. Easy and carefree, out in the summer breeze, loving a simple thanks for hours on end. Right about sundown, we lay on the ground, count on the stars as they come out one at a time. Ain't this a sweet life?
Hey everybody, I'm X Factor winner Tate Stevens, and welcome to the Sweet Life Podcast, where we talk about everything from music, sports, food, entertainment, and, well, just living the sweet life.
One of our next show topics should be like 80s movies, our favorite 80s movies.
Absolutely, that's it. We're going to do that one.
Top 10 favorite 80s movies.
Oh, I can't do a top 10. I could probably do a top 10.
Oh, I could do one easy.
Well, I mean, there's so many great ones.
Yeah.
Goonies is probably one of my favorite. Oh, that's one of my favorite all-time movies.
Really?
Goonies is awesome. I don't know why, dude.
I never saw it when I was a kid. It's another one of those that I just saw like within the last couple of years. Right. Just like the nostalgia is just not there for me, so I don't have that.
Goonies is amazing. It's a great movie. But anyway, yeah.
But here we are, folks, in the new podcast studio.
So if you're watching on YouTube or whatever, this is a new studio, podcast studio. We have one thing on the wall right now. It's not going to stay there, but there was a nail, and I put it up on the wall. That's the clock on the wall. And so we have a lot of stuff to get up, a lot of memorabilia from some sports stuff that I've acquired over the years, and a lot of things from the road and different things like that. I got my playbills from the Grand Ole Opry that are going to go up on the wall, and my Billboard plaque and stuff like that for Top 5 Country Album. So you'll be seeing a bunch of stuff, hopefully soon, whenever I get a chance. And yeah, this is kind of our new home right now.
Yeah.
Nothing on the walls yet.
It's a lot warmer than the basement.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep, warmer. Got a ceiling fan and TV on the wall. Anyway, so, all right, well, today's episode, we're going to wrap up season 1. I think season 1, we went 12 episodes. This is number 12, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to do 12 episodes in each season. I think that's a pretty fair number and a good way to kind of break it up so people can go, I can go back and listen to the first 12, whatever, if they want to or not. So starting at episode number 1, obviously that was the one where I talked about myself on the X Factor, my journey through the X Factor.
Yeah.
And remember, if you guys want to expand on any story, if you hear something on the podcast that you're like, man, I'd really like to know more about this or more about that, or hear a story about this. Is there any stories from you guys on a certain subject or whatever? Just let us know, and we'll get to it. Absolutely get to it, and all that. So that's fun. And so episode 1, I don't know that we need to really talk about. I mean, it's kind of been said. Everything's been said. I've told the story a million times, and so I don't know that we need to talk about anything from episode 1, really.
Which episode 1 was when you talked about X Factor.
Yeah, episode 1 was the X Factor, and episode 2.
That was the episode we had to do twice.
Well, because there were so many things. Episode 1. So I guess we could say that I talked for 2.5 or 3 hours or something the first time we talked about it.
Yeah, it was
and you're like, hey man, is there any cool story?
Yeah,
because it's
just a lot of it.
It's just a lot
of story there.
Yeah. And I can indulge more into certain stories from the show and all that, but we did it again. Went back and kind of revamped the story just to make it fit in a better time spot. Episode 2, we had my great friend, dear friend, and producer Mike Rogers on. Mikey, man, listen, if you guys like music and you want to hear somebody who is amazing, the nicest guy you're going to want to meet, and everything like that, and you can catch him performing all the time in Nashville. He's always performing at the Station Inn, and now he's out with Brotherly Love. They're doing their tour they started. I know they did their first show this week in Columbia, and I saw just on Facebook some clips of it and stuff like that. It sounded awesome. Yeah. So you guys got to make sure you check out Mike Rogers, and you can go back on YouTube and when he was with Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver, man, just it is their version of Precious Memories is one of the greatest versions of that song I've ever heard. And it is amazing. It is so good that, it's like you can't not like their version. And it's live. This is all live. And they're just throwing down. They were so good. So good. So make sure you check out Michael. He's, like I said, he's the sweetest person. Just an all-around good dude. And episode number 3 was really special for me because we had Jimmy Fortune from the world famous Hall of Fame, Grand Ole Opry, everything. Won so many awards with the Statler brothers. We had Jimmy on, and another dear friend, a great person. He's just a great person, and he tells a story about his first guitar. And the story, it was kind of like, oh my God, you kind of like, oh wow, that's cool. But then if you think about it, he had the guitar for 4 years.
Yeah.
And it had 2 strings on it. It was a little plastic cheap guitar, and we have a clip, right? We can play a clip from that.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's play a clip, and so you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, and maybe you'll go back and listen to the whole thing if you missed that one. But this is episode 3 with Jimmy Fortune. This is just a little piece of him telling the story about his very first guitar. It's awesome.
I found an old guitar in a dump near my house because we were so poor, and honest to God, we were so poor I couldn't afford to buy an instrument.
Okay.
In a dump near my house, an old guitar that had 2 strings on it and was actually a little plastic guitar. I took it home, and I started playing, little songs on it, like just on those 2 strings. I had that guitar for about 4 years, and Mom and Dad, when I was 12 years old, Christmas 1967, scraped up enough money to buy me an old Harmony guitar for $52 that was too much rent and groceries for 9 kids and Mom and Dad.
Oh, man.
And they got that guitar for me for Christmas, and I got it that year, and I held on to that. I saw it next to the Christmas tree, sitting on the couch. I ran over and grabbed it. I said, if I can learn to play and sing at the same time, Daddy, I'm going to make a living at this.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great story. That is a story. It's true. Yep. Every part of it's true.
Yeah.
So to think about that, I mean, he was destined to be Jimmy Fortune. Anyway, episode 3 was awesome just because his stories were so cool. And then the story about writing his very first #1 hit, it was the very first song he ever wrote. He'd never tried to write a song before. And here he is. He's like, hey, guys, if I write a song, will you record it? And they're like, well, sure, if it's good enough, And then he goes back and pens Elizabeth. And it's like,
yeah,
okay. Okay. I mean, CMA Song of the Year? #1 hit right
pretty
out of
nuts. Just right out of there.
God.
Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
Yeah. I listen, I started writing the very first song I had ever written that I would like share with people was in when I was in the Dixie Cadillac band. And we were traveling one day, and I looked out the window and I see this old dirt road, and it's just winding up to nothing. And I'm like, man, that's pretty cool looking. And there's an old brick building like down. We were continuing down the highway, and I see this old brick house, old farm brick house thing, stone house. And I'm like, man, staring down this winding road, not knowing where it goes. I mean, and that's kind of how I started. And that's really, and it was just what I was seeing. I was just kind of in my head, kind of writing this stuff down, remembering what I was seeing at the time. And we got to the hotel, and I ran in and to the hotel as soon as we got our keys. I ran in the hotel, grabbed the little pad, the little notepad and pen, and I just started writing it down. I started writing. I didn't have there was no melodic structure or anything yet. And then I remember seeing that house that old stone house, and I'm like, that's pretty cool, but you could tell it had been rebuilt.
Yeah.
Because it had brick and old stone to it. And I'm like, man, brick by brick, stone by stone, I'm picking up the pieces whatever it was, and I can't remember all of it, but that was part of it, just and it was kind of and for whatever reason, I guess I was in a ballady kind of mood, but the melody to it was like brick by brick, stone by stone, I'm picking up the pieces, trying to find my way back home, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But that was kind of what I was writing at the time, and that was the very first song I remember just writing all by myself. Kind of, it was pretty cool, man. I mean, it was a terrible song. We didn't, we worked it up, and as a band, we worked it up, and they helped me a ton with the music and all that, and
yeah,
it just didn't. It never saw the light of day.
Yeah.
And,
some of the best songs never do.
Yeah, yeah. It was just number one. It was number one hit. Yeah. But anyway, that was the first one. Then I could say that I had written a song.
Well, speaking of first times of doing things, the first time that we tried to get together and record our intros and outros for the podcast, it was a disaster. We only had like just a few pieces of equipment,
right?
And we were still kind of piecing it together.
Yeah,
and
I was probably drunk.
No, it was just. It took us a while, but we finally got it together.
I think, because we didn't, obviously this is new to both of us. We never had tried a podcasting thing or even like something like this where you have to kind of be the thing and have this thing. And it was.
And I still have, there were some outtakes to that. So here we go. For the first time ever.
All right, just be quiet for like 5 seconds. We're going to try this one time and see how it goes. Hayden! Stop talking. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening. If you want to ask a question, you can't pick head. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening. You want to ask a question? Hit me up. Facebook, Twitter, Grindr, whatever they are. Hey, everybody. Make sure you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, that's not good. Here we go. Hey, guys, make sure you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and just to stay up on the latest, up-to-date, whatever I was going to talk about there. That was terrible. Hey, did I say we were done? It's amazing. We would have been done by now, but all the pots and pans banging in the background.
Yeah, that was some outtakes from our first time trying to record anything. It's something as simple as this seems to be. It's really not. It really takes a lot to kind of get it going and stuff like that.
Right, because you think it's just talking.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're just talking, you can mess up, or you can missay you missay something, or you say something wrong, and then you don't have to go, oh my God, I got to do that again, because I sound like an idiot, I don't want people to know how dumb I really am. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's harder. It's harder than you think, and not to say a lot of things that are pointless as far as the ums and the ands and the that kind of thing. I'm trying not to do that. I do it all the time. I know I do, but I try to keep them down because there would be a ton more than what there already are.
That's why I don't talk much, because I know it'll be a lot of ums and ands.
Maybe I should be the guy not talking so much. Anyway, well, that's awesome. That's fun. See? So let's move on. Episode number 4. We had the 90s country. We had our buddy Roger Carson, longtime radio personality here in Kansas City, with 106.5, and oh man, love Roger. I got to tell you, and I think I said it in that podcast. Roger and Cody, what they did on the X Factor thing for me here in Kansas City was they went above and beyond. You know what I mean? The other radio stations weren't doing it, but they just jumped on board and took lead on it, which I'm forever grateful and thankful for those two for doing that. And I know their boss at the time didn't really care for it too much, and they just said, no, we're going to do it because it needs to be done and all that. So I'm forever grateful for those two. But Roger he's a good dude. And I don't know, have you seen his drawings, his artistry?
No.
Oh my God.
Really?
Oh, it's amazing.
No kidding.
No, he's been on Facebook. He'll put found this old picture of an owl or something. And I'm like, at first I'm like, and then I realized he drew it or he painted it. And I'm like, oh my God.
No kidding.
It's amazing. It is amazing. Yeah, awesome.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, awesome. So one of the stories that he was telling from that episode that I thought was really kind of cool, and because as an artist, when we have our singles out or we're putting a single out, getting ready to, you do what's called a radio tour, and we have to go to these radio stations and play our single for them, and talk to the program directors and music directors and all that. And every once in a while, we get to do a live thing on the air with their DJs, right? So,
right.
And he tells a story of having some of those young, up and coming '90s artists coming through.
Yeah.
And Shania was the one that came through. That's an awesome story. So here's the Shania Twain, Roger Carson story.
He had the smart sport. He understood Toby Keith, and the other is Shania Twain. Well, I said, Toby Keith, okay, yeah, he's got Should Have Been a Cowboy, climbing the charts on the way to number one. Impressive. But Shania, really, she's out, bring her in. So they bring her in.
Hopefully she's still wearing that bikini.
She's stunning. I mean, unbelievably beautiful. Probably 26 at that point, had just come from Nashville. Of course, she was working a nightclub in Canada where they found her, if you will. But in Nashville, she was like, hold it. Now, I don't play this having a luncheon and then write a song with 14 people. I write my own songs. So they were already having an attitude problem with her. She comes into the studio and she shakes my hand like a man. I mean, a hard handshake. And I was like, wow, that's a handshake.
Right.
I didn't know her backstory. I didn't know she was planting evergreen trees on the tundra for her parents. And it was a hard life up there. So I put her on the air. And she's great, but I said, this is amazing. I just saw you frolicking on the beach yesterday in your video. And she says, oh, really? Was I frolicking? Yeah. And I thought, wow, attitude. I love it. So all these years later, she writes the book, The Woman in Me. And she's talking about her first tour, how she's going to these radio stations. And she was talking about her video where she's frolicking on the beach. Where'd she get that?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a great story. That's a great story. 90s country music.
Yes.
And I know we talked about how important to both of us it really is, because it's kind of what we grew up with. It's kind of our coming of age music, right? For me, especially,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you also, and so it's like hearing stories from the guys who were doing it then, of course, obviously Shania's a giant star, and things like that. So it's just neat how you get to see the behind the scenes, or, you kind of learn things that go on. And as an artist, now I know exactly what goes on, and it's kind of one of those things. It's like, oh, wow, I guess Shania and them had to do the same thing I had to do, or whatever. They didn't just come out of the box as being Shania Twain, big megastar selling out arenas. They started, doing the same radio tour stuff that everybody does. So it's kind of cool. Yeah. That was a great one. That was a great episode. I thought episode 4 was great. Just when Roger does his Casey Kasem impression, that's awesome. You know? But definitely, guys, his voice was made for radio for sure.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because that's what he sounds like when it's just speaking voice.
Okay, and so here's another thing. That's a real thing. People have a radio voice. When they talk on the radio, it's very proper and everything is just like this and everything. And it's all. And then when you see them in person or whatever, they're like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? It's not.
Yeah.
It's just like normal. But when they're on the radio, they have this big proper voice, but Roger talks like that all the time. That's just his voice. He doesn't change it at all.
Yeah. It's kind of the opposite with me. Like I talk like this, like on a microphone, and by myself, I'm just like, yes, I will have a cheeseburger. Thank you.
What would you like to eat, AJ? I think I'll have a cheeseburger.
I will take a large pizza with pepperoni.
That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh,
so
Lord.
that was episode number 4, was 90s
Yes.
Country. Now we move on to episode 5. So we did a current events kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
We talked about things that were going on right at the time. We discussed the Morgan Wallen issue and was it what I can't remember all of it that we were discussed, but that was one of the big ones. The other one,
TJ Osborne.
oh yeah.
That was
from
like
Brothers
right at-
Osborne, coming out, and again, I'll stand here and I'll say it. It doesn't matter to me if you're gay or not or whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're great at what you do, you're great at what you do. It doesn't affect. Your sexual preference has no effect on it, know? And maybe it is harder for them. I mean, because there's that stigma, oh, you're gay or whatever, I guess now, but I think it's even lesser now. Now, maybe back in the day, probably was a big deal,
sure.
probably would have been like, oh, that's a bad thing. But anymore, I don't even know. It's just kind of like, oh, okay. At least everybody I'm around,
Right.
You're like, oh, so-and-so's gay. Oh,
Okay.
well, good, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like not a big deal. But anyway, so that was episode 5, kind of the current event things that we talked about there. And episode number 6, I know some people were like, man, I'm not a real big fisherman. But we had Kevin Rogers, professional fisherman, on, buddy of mine. And it was good because a lot of people that I know that listened to it that were like, it's kind of true. You don't really think about professional anglers or hunters. And you don't see, and it's musicians as well. It goes for us too. People see us on stage, and they see us performing. They don't see the other 22 hours of the day.
Right.
What we're doing, traveling to get there, tearing down, setting up, whatever. They don't see that side of it. Being away from home, being away from everything we know, really, basically. And it's kind of the same for hunters and fishermen. They drive, they get in their trucks and pull their boats to all these different lakes around the country, and it might take them. I mean, Kevin lives here in Missouri. So like I was watching last night, I was watching the MLF on TV, and, well, they were like, this guy's from Tennessee, this guy's from Ohio, this guy's from, California. What? He drove all the way across the country to go fishing at Lake Okeechobee in Florida. And just for the chance to win, a $50,000, $100,000, which is a huge prize, obviously.
Well, sure, yeah.
But it's still that thing where, they have to drive all that way. So obviously he didn't leave California and just drive to Florida just to fish.
Right.
I mean, there were stops along the way that he probably fished in different, fisheries and stuff like that, and different lakes and rivers and things on the way, but you think about that. They're gone all the time.
Yep.
They're away from home so much, for their tour, whatever tour they're on, whether it's the Bass Tour, the BASS or the MLF tour, whatever it is. The largemouth are really big here. The crappie are great here. Catfish are great here. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they chase that kind of thing. It's just like hunters, elk season come, you go out west and to elk hunt or whatever, and then you get different opportunities to archery hunt elk or rifle hunt elk or sheep or whatever you're hunting. And it's all at different times. So these guys are gone all the time.
Right.
Just chasing the seasons, chasing the animals, just like fishermen, just like musicians. We're just chasing the next gig. We're headed to the next gig. So it is, I mean, it's a lot of fun, obviously, or you wouldn't do it. You got to have fun, or it would be absolutely miserable and no one would do it. But it is hard. It's hard. It's hard on your body. It's hard, mentally it's hard. And people don't see that. And Kevin he said it's not as sexy as what people think. You drive for 7.5 hours, get out, get in the boat, fish for 2 days hard as you can fish, just to try to win. And well, you might win, you might not. Well, get back in your truck and you go again to the next one, trying it again.
Yep.
Man. But anyway, that was a great episode for me just to hear that, because it crosses many things, as a outdoorsman or as a musician or whatever, and all that. So episode number 7. Now, episode number 7 was kind of fun because we just got to go back and talk about being on the road, playing music, and first times out and all that. And you
all my
your first time out was pretty funny, and just just because, the whole thing, a lot of people would think, okay, I'm out, we're going to go to Chicago. Oh my gosh, let's go to the pier. Let's go see one of the the Field Museum because it's amazing and all that. Nope. No,
I wanted White Castle.
I just wanted White Castle and some deep dish pizza and didn't get either one. Golly. So,
well, the guy wants what he wants, I guess.
I guess so. It's the little things, right, AJ? It's the little things.
Wasn't nothing little about me back then. I was a big old boy.
Well, no, you've never been a big guy. You've never been big. So, you might have weighed 20 pounds more than you do now, but you've never been a big guy. So episode number 8.
Yes.
We had Daryl on, your cousin, friend of mine, graduated with him from Belton High School.
Absolutely.
Went on to play baseball in college. And now he's a college baseball coach. And just overall good guy. At Avila University.
Boom.
There it is. One thing that we want to pull up from his episode with Daryl was when he talked about, trying out for the bigs. He comes out of college, he does great. His junior, senior year, he's killing it, throwing the great games as a pitcher. And so he gets his opportunity, right? He sees this opportunity to play professional baseball. Anyway, here's this is Daryl and talking about thinking he made the team already, and then getting there and realizing, man, this is just a try. This is a tryout.
Ultimately, I didn't get drafted, but I had an offer from the River City Rascals.
Yeah.
About halfway through my senior year at Pitt State.
Yeah. Right.
Saying, hey, if you don't get drafted, we would love to have you come. Come play.
Right.
So literally, I remember getting in the mail a contract for the Rascals. Well, I was still naive at the next level. I get this contract. I think it's a done deal. I'm on the team.
Muted it.
I have a contract.
Mics,
yeah.
So.
And so little did I know that when I showed up in St. Louis for, training camp, so to speak, it was only about a week long.
Right.
So literally as soon as my last game was played, my senior year, less than a week later, I'm in St. Louis. And I'm, I have this contract in hand. I'm getting out of the car, and I see all these cars. Literally, there was probably 100 cars in the parking lot. And I see these guys carrying Houston Astros bags and LA Dodger bags and Boston Red Sox. I'm like, who are these guys? And little did I know, there was about 60, 70 guys that were all quote unquote trying out for the Rascals. And here I am, just a college, 4-year college, 3-year college starter, thinking, had a lot of accolades, whatever in college. It didn't matter anymore.
Right.
None of that stuff mattered anymore. Those plaques didn't matter a hill of beans,
Yeah.
So I'm still like, I'm naive. I'm like, and then it hits me. I'm like, these guys are former
big league guys,
pro guys, guys that had. So anyway, I get out there and
Trim that first part off a little bit.
We get Jack Clark, it was our manager, and Dick Schofield, former Angels shortstop, Greg Matthews, former Cardinals starting pitcher. Those were our 3 coaches, and so they talked to. We're sitting in the stands. There's probably, like I said, there's probably 75, 80 of us.
Wow.
And I'm looking, and then it's sinking in like, oh, I don't think I've actually made this team yet. This contract got me there,
right?
But I haven't made this team yet, and so then I'm just, the heart starts pounding a little bit. It's like, man, I gotta just do what I can, you know.
Yep.
So anyway, long story short, I remember Greg Matthews calling all the pitchers, and there was probably 30, 35, 40 of us.
Right.
And so he told about 20 guys to go sit in the stands. And I was not one of those guys. I was with this other group.
Right.
Said, you guys warm up. You're going to get about 10
Do we need
pitches.
to pull
in the
anything
bullpen.
up from
And so
Love
I'm
Songs?
like, okay. So I warm up.
We'll just talk a little
And
bit, but we don't
so
need to play that.
I had my
fireman.
big pitch in college for me was a slider.
Mm-hmm.
So I get up, I warm up, get up on the bullpen. There's another pitcher right beside me. We're kind of alternating pitches. Greg Matthews sitting there watching us. There's a couple other people watching us as well. And I
No pressure.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
pressure, right?
So I throw 3 or 4 fastballs, and Greg stops me and he says, "Hey, what else do you throw?" I said, "Slider changeup." He said, "Well, let's see your slider." So I threw one slider, and he said, "Throw it one more time." So I threw another slider, and he said, "Okay, go sit over in the stands with those other guys." So what had happened was Greg had already knew about these other guys that had played in affiliated ball, you know,
Right.
with different major league organizations.
Right.
They already had a little bit of a pedigree, you know, and here I am just coming from college, so he didn't know who I was. So, you know, the general managers who contacted me about coming, and
Right.
but he's not the one cutting people.
Yeah, he's not the one making decisions.
So anyway, I get over and I'm talking with the guys sitting down, and they're like, "Well, yeah, all those guys out there is pretty much have no shot at making this team."
That so right there, I mean, that has to be just an eye opener. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you could hear it even when he's telling the story. Like, oh wow, here he is. Gets there, like, yeah, all right, cool. What are you guys doing here? You know, and then, they're doing the same thing I'm doing. They're trying to make this team.
And realizing that, so my neck was literally just on the guillotine right there.
Yeah. I mean, but when you got to perform, and here's the thing about it, athletes and even musicians, and most of us, we're competitive enough that, when we're put to a task or, like challenged a little bit, we usually rise to that occasion and show off, basically, or show out anyway. And so, yeah, that was a great story and just kind of funny. And now, and then obviously the rest of his story goes on as coaching and all that, and with the high school kids at first, and then moving on up to the college level where he is now. And I don't even remember if we talked about the Devil Rays when he was scouting for the Devil Rays. He was
I don't think so.
He was one of the Devil Rays scouts.
Well, the other day I was riding with him in the car, and we were talking more about like more stories, and I'm like, man. You should have told this story. You should have told that story.
Yeah.
So we may have to have him back here.
We'll have him back on and do another one. So
absolutely.
Episode 9.
Yes.
Now episode 9 was we had our trying to make our list of things and love songs, all genre, didn't matter. Country, rock, pop, it didn't matter. Right. And you brought your top 10 list of love songs that you had. And as I started writing them down, just thinking of love songs, there's no way I could have a top 10. Just there's so many love songs out there from all genres of music, and I know we missed a ton, and Daryl brought that to our attention the other day. It was like, how could you Don't Close Your Eyes or no, was it Don't Close Your Eyes or Don't Close Your Eyes. You know what I mean? It's like, how can you let that one get away? You didn't even say, that wouldn't even make anyone's list. And I'm like, yeah, but there was 1,000 other ones that didn't make the list too, but, yeah, that's hard, just, if we were more country, if it was just all country music that we were doing, probably would have figured that one out.
Yeah.
But just, going up as a broad, just all genres of love songs, that. Yeah. We miss some on that.
You guys let us know if you like those top 10 lists type shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we could do those for
sure.
For days.
Yeah. And I think like the 80s movies, I think that's going to have to be one because.
Yeah. Before we started recording, we were talking about like some different movies, and there just happened to be 2 movies from like the 80s. And I was like, man, we should do like a top 10 80s, our favorite. Yeah, 80s
I know
list.
the one that's going to be on the top of your list, which would be Pretty in Pink. That'll be the one that's on top.
I've never seen it.
Of course, The Breakfast Club. Never seen it.
No, I've seen The Breakfast Club. But
Yeah,
never seen Pretty in Pink.
That's a movie. Just real quick, that's a movie I never got into. The Breakfast Club.
Really?
Nope. Just didn't get it. I mean, it was like, all right, whatever.
Well,
It was just one of those ones, just that was another one of those kind of movies. I don't know. Just never really, didn't really hit a chord with me like some of the other ones did. But
yeah, kind of like the Harry Potter movies. I never got into those.
I loved Harry Potter movies.
Really?
Dude, Hayden and Riley
Good
both
Lord.
I loved them. I don't know why. It just, mythical, magical kind of things, I guess.
That's what I say.
Oh, man.
Yes, we now have sound effects.
Yeah. Okay. What about Lord of the Rings? Was that one of you?
It's same.
Same. I love Lord of the Rings too.
See, it's one of those. I think of those as like just the same thing.
Wow.
I just.
So when we went to, it was Disney. We went to Disney in Florida and Universal there in Florida, and we went to Harry Potter's whatever that town was called, where you would go to Dumbledore for whatever, where the school where he went or whatever. It was awesome because it looked just like the movie.
Really?
Oh, it's amazing. The town where you walk through and the kids. It was awesome because the kids had their Harry Potter wands, and if you pointed at certain things, things happen. Anyone, you just pointed at the water fountain and water fountain takes off. It's awesome. But it was really cool just seeing how movie like that thing was. And you can go in the stores and buy the weird candies and stuff they have in the movies. It's all in there in the store. It's really cool. I thought it was pretty cool. It was fun for us, but
anyway.
Okay, number 10. We're moving on to number 10. This was our first responders.
Yes, this was our first on location show.
Yeah,
Our first show out of the basement.
We can do we can do that now. We can do that. We can go places now, a little easier with our new equipment. But we went to West Peculiar Fire and talked to my buddy Bobby Sperry, who's the captain there, or the chief, Captain Chief. He's the chief of the fire department there. And you know what, Bobby, I've known him for years and years, and he's a great guy. He worked for the city of Belton when I was at the city of Belton. He worked for the city of Belton in the fire department. And he started actually in the street department where I ended up for the city, and then he switched over to the fire department over there, and he's had a great career. He's been doing it for almost 30 years now. I guess 20 some years now in the fire department. So,
Wow.
he Bobby is something. He's.
Well, I was telling you earlier, I had more like just people either calling me or not calling me, but either texting me or just in conversation. They're like, "Man, the chief there on the fireman podcast, man, that guy was awesome." He just jumped in and just went to town.
Yeah, and he's not short of a story, that's for sure.
For sure.
Not short of stories, that's for sure. But so and when we were talking, you said people were like, what about the Tybo thing? So we're gonna play this clip. We'll play this clip. Bobby's talking about when he first got into the fire academy. This is what they did. This is kind of how they started their day and started their morning in the fire academy when he went through. So yeah, take a listen. This is great.
I went to a fire academy that was about 3 to 4 months long. We went every day, 8 hours a day.
Right.
Trained every day in the towers. It was a great opportunity, and a 20-something kid, I thought, oh wow, talk about not wanting to grow up.
Right.
So fire academy really starts out with you start out, for me, we did classroom work during the day. Mid-morning, we started our morning with workouts.
Right.
There's the irony in it. 40 guys. First thing in the morning doing Tybo. Because that at the time was, I'm not dating myself, but Tybo was an in thing. So there's 40 firemen lined up trying to do Tybo, right?
Billy Blanks is out there. You're out there.
That's right. 3 different ones: beginner, intermediate, advanced. We started with beginner the first day. Guys are kicking guys next to them. Guys are falling down. I thought we were going to lose half the class to injuries.
I'm just. That really doesn't surprise me that he was involved in any of that. It doesn't. It just doesn't surprise me at all. That's just good stuff.
Yeah.
Starting with Tybo. Oh my God. Anyway, that was a for me, it was kind of I really enjoyed that, the first responders thing. We're going to have to do that one again. We're going to go, we'll go to a different, maybe do a fire, police station, you know, or something like that. We're going to continue that because I do believe that there's a lot of great stories that come from first responders because the things they see, good and bad. And that, you know, I don't want to get into too many bad stories just because it is bad. You know, a lot of things that they see are terrible. And you know, these men and women have to deal with that on a daily basis. And they talked about it in that episode of losing one of their guys. And then the cat.
Yes.
The cat that came back.
That was probably my favorite story out of the whole thing.
Yeah, man. And just so that whole thing with first responders, I think they don't get enough praise from us and as citizens in the, you know, in the towns and cities where we live. I don't think they don't get the praise they should get. And listen, I'm not saying that all first responders are great people, and I'm not saying that they're, you know, the best firemen out there or the best police officers. There's turds in every bowl, right? I mean, you get what you get sometimes, but the majority, I would say the vast majority of these people, men and women, are truly really good people, and they're just trying to help, and they're just doing a job.
Yep.
You know, a lot of these guys, especially firemen, I know a lot of firemen are generational. You know, grandpa, great grandpa, dad. I mean, they're just brothers and cousins. I mean, that is it's a way of life for a lot of those people. And same with law enforcement. I know a lot of police officers, their dad and grandpa were police officers, and that's why they're police officers.
Right.
You know, and that's all they've ever wanted to do. Went to high school with the kid. He knew immediately he was going to be a police officer. He joined the police academy in high school where they do the training on the weekends and that kind of thing. Kind of get their foot in the door with that. And he's still a Belton police officer now, I think. Or he might have retired, actually. I don't know. But anyway, so that was a good episode. And you get, like you said, there was some bad in there. You got to hear some of the bad stuff and you can hear it. I know sometimes even with the cameras on, you can kind of see us talking or laughing or whatever. But I don't know if you can see their eyes. But when they were telling some of these stories, you could see it in their eyes. You could see that there's a lot going on back there. Yeah. And they protect themselves as much as they can from that. When they see the bad things, and you know. But anyway, that was one of my favorite episodes right there. Just the fire on the first responders, and plus, you know, Bobby, he's a lunatic. But anyway, so episode number 11 went to our buddy Brad Burrow at Real Media KC.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say. Just
crazy
wow.
place they got over there, man.
It is amazing. Everything they do, you know, and before we went, I was looking up, okay, they can do this, they do this visual stuff, they do this visual, and they do these video conferences and schools and different things like that they do. But they also do so many overlays on videos, and they can do everything, voiceovers and music, and I mean, they have a full recording studio there. They have, I mean, you could shoot a movie in that one building. It's amazing. It is amazing. And Brad was so nice, man. He was just salt of the earth kind of guy. Sure. Started and you know, has a degree, and he was doing his thing, and then just realized that, man, I'm a musician. I want to be a musician. And he just kind of left his job and said, I'm playing music now for a living. You know, and it's like, wow, okay. And then when he's telling that story, I'm just sitting there going, you went to college, and then just said, yeah, screw it, I'm out. I'm doing the music thing, and that's what he did, and you know, did that for a long time, and then the thing with the cassette or the videotapes.
Yeah, wasn't that nuts?
Was that not crazy?
Yeah,
I mean. So Blockbuster Video, obviously, they're everywhere. They were everywhere. Obviously not anymore. But and you go rent a movie on a VHS, you know, tape, and then you take it home. You got it for 2 or 3 days or whatever. And sometimes the little gates would break.
Yep.
And he figured out a way to fix them.
Yeah. I used to fix those when I was a little kid.
And he made a business out of it.
Yep.
And he had all, like, how many blockbusters? I mean, it was like all Missouri, basically.
Yeah.
Texas and all.
Yeah.
I mean, just from all around the country, they were sending him boxes and boxes of broken VHS tapes, and he was fixing them.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. I people like that. People who are
You got the word?
yeah, I do, but I can't. I know I can't say it. I can't say it.
You tried last
I tried it, and my wife I told her about it, and she just read, like, oh, it's this. I can't say it. So anyway, when you have those entrepreneurs, I can say that, but the entrepreneurial,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah, that when you have that gene inside, for people like that who can do that, who can take a chance and just go out on a limb, like, I'll do it. I can do it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
No, sir. I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. Probably not, But anyway, for him to go out and just take a chance, say, this is what I'm doing now, fixing VHS tapes, then buying a camera and buying some editing equipment, and then doing just video editing and shooting Chiefs games.
Yep.
And then getting his company just kind of building and building and building from a guy who just said, hey, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to do it.
Yep.
The guts and the intestinal fortitude you got to have to be driven that way.
Yeah.
To be driven enough to go, I'm going to make this succeed. However, I have to do it. And to be where he is today, starting from where he started and to what he has built today is amazing, man.
Yeah. It definitely takes some fortitude.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that, just listening to him talk and what he's built and what he continues to, like his growth, like the movie that he's going to make about the basketball guy. We didn't even talk about it, but he was telling us about it. The guy who kind of created basketball, he was going to do his whole story, and just like, he has the rights to it now, and they're going to do this big documentary movie about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's awesome.
You going to play the basketball guy?
Yeah. I told him I needed to be acting in it. Yeah, I mean, that's really the only part I couldn't do is be a basketball player. Too short and fat. But maybe even not back then. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Never know.
Anybody could have played.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then that was our last of the seasonal episodes, man.
Absolutely.
So, all right. I mean, I don't know. You have anything? You want to add anything? You think of anything right now that you could say, you know what, we need to talk about that? Or
I'll think of something on the way home.
oh, yeah. That's how I do it. I'll go downstairs and want to eat something and be like, oh, we should have talked about that.
No, but we'll be back in what, a couple weeks? Or
yeah, I like a week. I think we just kind of get our head together. Let's put another season together and go out and get it. And
we're gonna try to figure out some lighting here in the room. Some
have some
figure
stuff.
out where to put all this. Position the.
I got some
cameras.
I got some craziness that I have so much stuff in this room that we got to put up, and some of it's not going to be able to go up on the walls or on the shelves and stuff. But I'm going to try to get as much of it up as I can. I have deer heads and things like that. My wife want me to get out of other rooms, and I'm like, I just don't have any room in there for it. But anyway, it's going to be fun, man. Again, season 1. I think it was good. I think we're learning. I think we're getting better.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Maybe not. Hell, I don't know. But I
Leave
think
us
we're getting better.
And leave us some feedback.
Absolutely. Guys, listen, we need feedback. That helps us grow and helps our podcast, helps us. And if you guys want to hear anything about anything, just let us know. Shoot us a message and make sure you follow all of our social media stuff. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which that's where all the videos go. Make sure you do leave us a 5-star rating and leave us a written review. If you could please leave us a little written review. with all of them, and that would be great. And then tell all your friends and all their friends to like and subscribe our podcast, the Sweet Life Podcast, man. So I think season 1 was good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. I think that's a great launching point.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to season 1. Go back and check out all the former episodes, the past episodes, and let us know what your favorite one was. And yeah, like in a week, we'll have some more new episodes, new season.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you and talk to you all then.
Ain't this a sweet life?
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Want to ask a question for a future episode? Well, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter with hashtag #SweetLifePodcast. And be sure to give us a 5-star rating and hit that subscribe button. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to stay up to date on the latest news and information for the Sweet Life Podcast. And we'll see you next time.